Welcome to the Henderson Teams Podcast, a place where you can stay up to date on what's happening around campus, as well as joining Pastor Nick and the team to dive deeper into the weekend message. New episodes drop on Mondays. Make sure to click the subscribe button below to be notified as soon as it's available. We're glad you're here. Now let's dive in.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Henderson Teams Podcast. We had a little bit of a break there for a couple weeks as we were all in Easter and just pulling it off, and it was awesome, and we're going to get back to recapping that a little bit. But it is pretty exciting to get back into the swing of things and get back to the podcast and reconnect with everybody. I hope you all had a great Easter. This is Brandon, and today I am joined once again by some of our regs. We got Travis. How you doing, DJ Travis?
I'm doing good. How are you guys doing?
Oh, we're doing fantastic. Also, Ariel will be with us today.
Hi.
There she is. And Kevin.
What's up, everybody?
Here
Glad
to bring the
back.
slightly inappropriate cat calls as
my
we
game.
get things rolling.
It's just how God made me.
Oh.
But yeah, Easter was amazing. We had so many people here, so many great stories. It was a powerful time. Does anyone have just something that they want to share of just their favorite Easter moment or connection over that time period?
Yeah, I had an awesome one at the Feed the City booth Friday night. So it was during the worship at the cross moment, but just got called back inside, met this couple that, really long story short, had come to our food pantry for like 7-8 years, had dealt with drug addiction, homelessness, et cetera, and they had a small young daughter. Basically talking about how the food pantry, really helped them just sustain and essentially rescued them, kept them going. They were able to get clean, get jobs, all that kind of stuff, and in a better place now. But they made a contribution to Feed the City. And I don't remember the exact quote, so it's a paraphrase, but said, we wanted to do this because we were rescued by the food pantry. And so we want to, our hope is that we can help somebody else find what we found. So it was definitely tears in the eyes, big hug moment, all that. It was really cool just to see, what ultimately our calling here is, and the stuff that we show up to do, for work every day and volunteer and all that, just really that it's real. It's real impact. It's real people. So that was easily my best Easter moment.
Yeah, I'll talk about a moment. Well, overall, it was just amazing. We had over 35 baptisms. Kevin probably knows all the other numbers, but it's a lot of people came here.
I think it was in the 60s. It was 60 something.
Yeah. All
overall.
Services,
yeah.
All services, all
Sweet.
Easter.
I was
Yeah,
wrong.
it was in the 60s.
Double. See, look at me.
Yeah.
That's why I don't do numbers. But that was this really cool story of this family that they actually started coming about 4 or 5 weeks before Easter. Finished up the first step that we had. For Easter, I oversee some of the teams here. And so the wife of the family was serving in the auditorium, sorry, which was awesome. And then I had the opportunity this last Sunday morning to baptize the husband, Isaac. So it's cool to see. It was the first time that they stepped in as a family to serve during Easter. And then God put it on Isaac's heart to get baptized this last weekend.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So I loved it.
That's so cool. I just thought the baptisms in general, making that a part of Easter, typically it seems so busy and crazy around the location that it's tough to do a focused move towards baptisms just to logistically handle it. But we really felt led to give that a shot this year, and it was really great. That Friday night especially, just seeing people, the sun has set on Good Friday, and people are getting baptized right in the shadow of the cross monument out there in the parking lot. It was really cool, and the core team out there worshiping alongside of it. It was great. I felt like it was the start of something that we'll see continue to grow and build upon as we go into next Easter and the years to come. It's pretty cool.
Yeah,
what about from the stage?
Actually, from the stage perspective, I got to talk to Miranda. I want to say that Miranda. Is that right? The last life story. Why does that not sound right to me? Anyway, I got to talk to her in the back, in between experiences, and on the last day, she was just feeling, emotionally exhausted, to have to tell that story over and over again, through rehearsals too. So not even just coming for the experience, but through the rehearsals. It's a lot. And she had asked, she was, I don't even know like if it's making an impact, if it's making a difference. And, you know, my kids are here with me. It was her son's birthday on Saturday. So anyway, but I told her, I'm like, every single time we did those life stories and I'd look out into the audience, like Pastor Judd was already making a huge impact. Like you could just read it on people's faces. But then the minute that they started to hear those life stories is when people would just start to break down.
For sure.
And like that is why that is one of our staff values, to celebrate stories, because like sharing what God does in our lives and with each other is like glorifying what he's done. So anyway, I don't think that like where what I get to see is what everyone gets to see. Like, you know, you look around the room, you're like, is anyone even connecting with this? And like, It was so hard for me to look out into the crowd because people were just so moved by just all the elements of the Easter experience. And I would say we not held back, but we like really like we didn't have flames going up. We didn't have any confetti. Like we really just minimized what we were doing and just pointing to the cross. So it was really cool that it was the message and the life stories that really had a huge impact. And I could see that from where I was standing.
Absolutely. And I would just say, to piggyback on that, just being open about your story. Those of you listening, people on your teams, people you interact with, make sure to encourage people to share their stories when they can, because we've just found that people that find their way into the church and have all these preconceptions of what church is and how messed up church is, when it gets broken down to the point that you see a real person just like you standing there on the stage, just saying, this is what has happened to me, this is why I'm up here, this is what I experienced. That just seems to be the thing that above all else tears down walls, is the example of what Christ has done in someone else's life. So yeah, help us out when you hear a big story. Encourage people to be willing to share it, pass it along our way, whether we do through social media or pass on to the video team, or just share it, something like volunteer pre-shift. I think that all those pieces are so powerful and can be used in a big way. So
yeah, and even for me, like I feel like, and I've heard this a lot, that people also, like as much as people like that are afraid to tell their story because it's so intense, the opposite, like for people that feel like, oh, nothing of like severe trauma has happened to me, or you know, I don't have a really cool story to share. Like I disagree. Like I feel like everyone's story is unique, everyone's journey is unique, and someone will relate to it no matter how like little you think it might be. For sure, share like what God is doing in your life, what, you know, the good that he's bringing to it, etc.
It's so good. So we came off of that momentum and that craziness straight into this past weekend, where it was house rules. Judd's back in the saddle, bringing a message about how to kind of calm the crazy in the household. And that could be, you know, a regular style family household. It could be roommate situation. It's just like living, like the logistics of living and just being around people. Like it is a place that can either bring some comfort and healthy and encouragement and building, or can be distracting and tear you down and drain you. So it's an important series, I believe. But anyway, let's pop in a little bit to going deeper, what we heard, the things that stuck out to you in this week's message. What y'all got?
I'm really interested to hear, because we all have, you know, like the normal family dynamic in our house, and this particular message was a lot about that and like having kids.
Yeah.
So I'm actually really interested to hear, and I don't want to put you on the spot, so if you don't want to talk, just tell me. But like,
no, I'm here to talk.
I'm interested to hear like what you were able to take out of Pastor Judd's message in your stage of life right now.
Yes.
Yeah, I've been thinking about it a lot, just this House Rules series. So if you don't know, I'm a single dude, so no kids.
Hey,
and
ladies.
so, no, not that. Stop.
If you didn't know, I'm really available.
No, that's not it.
Travis is a good guy.
His
if
phone
anyone's-
number is. Just kidding.
It's on the TV screens, Kev, all over the place.
Or just slide into the DMs. You can hit him on the DM. He'll
Don't
answer.
do that. Anyways, I grew up in a non-faith-based home growing up. not to laugh at that. I'm just still laughing at the last thing. But my parents were great parents, but they weren't. We didn't go to church. We weren't pointed to God or Jesus at all. So this series is really good for me because eventually I do want a family, and so I have like basic life foundations and morals from my parents, but it wasn't tied to Jesus at all. So now I get to just listen in and prepare for the future, but even take nuggets right now in my life too. So one of the things I really liked about this weekend's message, it's a little bit deeper into like the 20-minute mark, so I might be jumping a little bit ahead, but what he said, just the example by if we lead by example and we have real faith, that when we mess up, kids won't care. Kids will see a perfect faith, or will see a real faith and not a perfect faith. So we know that like when we give back to God and then we own our personal faith in this walk in our household, they'll like notice that. They'll take that to heart. They'll notice like he's talking about reading the Bible in bed or praying. They'll notice those things. And so when you mess up, they really won't care about that because we're all mess up. But they'll just know you have a real faith. So I like that.
Yeah, that's so good. Even when I heard him say that, I'm like, that's really true. Like especially now with our son who's 4 and just very observant, like he sees and remembers everything. But what I was thinking about was like that should just be a thing that we should do just for people around us in general, and like things we shouldn't do for the people around us.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
One of the I really liked was just when Judd was talking about the common parent struggles I identified with a lot, and his specific example was like before he had kids, being in the grocery store, you know, like the little kid just laying on the floor screaming and having a meltdown, and I was literally the exact same. I'm like, I will never allow that to happen with my children, so I just don't take them to the store because otherwise it would happen all the time. But it you know, like so often it's so easy to get caught up in you know, seeing other parents or even especially through like social media and stuff like that. And I still deal with this. Like I see other people, it's like, oh my gosh, like everything is just perfect. Their kids are always perfectly clean and huge smiles on their faces and all that. But then I'm like, they're probably a lot like my kids. And yeah, they're happy a lot of the times and they're awesome and everything, but they have meltdowns and they get tired and hangry and all that. But that was just like one of the big ones, is just that whole like comparison piece of the common parent struggles, because we all go through it. Like my little boy's almost 6, my little girl's almost 4. So we're right in the thick of it, you know, of, you know, little Eli becoming almost a first grader and being awesome, but incredibly type A and hard headed, which neither my wife or I are. We're both really easygoing. So like, I don't know how to deal with that. And then Ivy is just pure wonderful chaos. And I love every minute of it, but that's hard too at the same time, because it's just like, she's insane. But yeah, that was just big for me. It's like, you just got to remember, like everybody goes through that. Everybody has that, regardless of what you see projected or portrayed or anything like that, you know.
It's awesome. I really liked, it was surprising to me, I think, how much this stuck out to me, but one of the most simple things he said was really resonating, and that was the whole idea of, Judges said for him and for his family, one thing they always did was prioritize church. Like, we're gonna go to church, we're gonna get there. And I mean, to me, there's a lot behind that. And I just think for this audience, for you guys that are just so plugged in and part of our serving team and really an integral part of what we do, like I know that you already prioritize church, but I feel like there's so much more behind this idea. So on one hand, you know, it's good to keep in mind that showing up and checking the box that I went to church, I served, I was at my door, I was greeting, I'm going to come back next week, I'm going to go to my spot, I'm going to serve, check, I did it, check, I did it. Like, I go every week, this is what I do. I think there's a danger in that, trying to equate a list of things to do, and by showing up, I'm proving to God that I'm, you know, living a good life, or because I'm going to church, I'm a good person. Like, there's a whole mindset there that can get a little tweaked. However, I just think it's so important that we still, like, even when we're not feeling it, even when we're not really sure, we need to prioritize just being at the church. And so I think one healthy thing to keep in mind and keep in check is, like, don't let the job, what you're doing, the serving, be the piece that you have to do. just remember the most important thing is getting to the church for the purpose of surrounding yourself with a community of people that care and are bought into the same things that you are, and then getting yourself into the message and hearing fresh word every single week and what our pastor and our leaders are bringing to us is really important. So, I mean, it was just tweaking, it was hitting off so many different ideas in my head, especially for this group. Just make sure that you're not just serving every single service and making this a job and making this a service where you're trying to kind of almost prove something or own something, like this is my door, this is my spot. Like, this is all should be serving, opportunity, give other people opportunities to serve. But make sure that you don't trade serving for growing. Make sure that you don't plant yourself in a serving location and then decide that you justify, like, I'm so needed here that I couldn't possibly get into the service this week. So one of my kind of, I know I'm jumping all around with application and what I got out of that, but I think it's just really important to remember, like, please prioritize getting into the weekend experience every week. Don't trade serving for being in there. Like, I know it feels like you're letting us down or you just want to make sure something's covered, but just talk with your leader. Make sure that you're protecting a time, whatever that is. Protect a time to get in there because you need to be able to be plugged into the source, get filled up so that you can then serve with greater impact, with greater purpose. You're not getting burned out. You're not getting turned away. So there's that whole idea around this whole piece. Make sure you're attending and not just over committing to serving.
Yeah.
And as one thing Bonnie, loves to say is, like, you got to give other people the opportunity to serve too. Like, I know that we get so much value from our serving, and don't hog it in a sense. Like, don't like take a spot and disallow or discourage people from doing it alongside you. Sometimes it's better to serve less, to get out of the way a little bit, to open up a spot that someone else will then have a reason to make sure they're getting here every week. So just like taking that little step back sometimes might be something that works wonders in someone else's life. So there's that whole idea, which I thought was cool. And then I just thought, from a parenting standpoint, like, I can really lean on my own journey on that one. Like, my parents, my dad became a pastor when I was like 9, but we were already in church. Like, from kids, we're just going to church every week, and I can just say how much that benefited my life. And again, it's not about just like doing it to like prove something or to like make myself better than other people. None of that stuff. But being plugged in kept me away from things that could have dragged me down. It introduced me to people that became lifelong friends. Kevin and I, it was probably freshman or sophomore year in high school for you and me when we first.
I moved. He actually moved there right before 8th grade, so it was freshman, sophomore year. It's been a year or 20 ish.
And then I met Pastor Nick at church when we were like 5 years old, and it's crazy that that stuff can be used throughout your whole life, is just getting introduced to people that can do a lifelong journey with you. In my school years, from a psychology standpoint, your most formative moments of a kid's life is those kind of early junior high school years, and most importantly, your friends. So the people that you're connected to during those times are the biggest influence from a psychological standpoint on someone's life, on what their future looks like. So I just feel like, because my parents made the commitment to prioritize that, I was set up for so much success and so much like less pain and so much less struggling, and like I'll be forever grateful for that. So yeah, I just think that's something that I want to commit to.
He even said that in his message. It was like, I didn't write it down, but something to the effect of, you can't
live your best life with the wrong
yes,
friends.
Yes, thank you. That's what nice. Hey. Yeah, that's what I was looking for. And I remember when I was like, in high schoolish age, and my mom said something to that effect, and I like rolled my eyes. I'm like, I'm not influenced. Like, I'm my own person. I make my own decisions. I'm not influenced by the people I'm hanging out with. And that was not totally true. Like,
Right.
there are definitely times that I'm proud to say I was able to make better choices than some of my friends.
Sure, yeah.
But for sure, like, if I hung out more with my friends that didn't go to church, I didn't go to church, and I ended up going to parties instead, or, you know, sneaking around by my parents' back and going to things like that. But anyway,
Whoa,
hopefully she doesn't listen to
Hopefully
this.
mom and dad are listening.
Sorry,
I'm
Mom.
33. I'm still scared of my mom. But anyway, like when I got way more involved in high school ministries, became like a small group leader, part of the worship team, like that's when I really felt like
Exactly. Yeah.
like started to grow and take the right path in life. So, I mean, it's so true. Like you are who your friends are. People
we're
who think
just-
that that's not true are lying.
Well, we're just also influenced by the people around us. It's like,
Yeah.
you know, I think we all just have an innate desire to fit in and be liked and, you know, hang out, have a good time with people. So when you get around people, like a lot of my college years, you know, my first couple of years of college before I moved out to Vegas, it was that, like, I had one friend that was in a fraternity that I worked with. He's like, come check this out. So when I did that, pretty much, you almost failed out my first semester of college. But all I did was like, do I want to go to class or hang out and,
Right.
you know, have some beers on Wednesday morning and play beach volleyball with the sorority houses that are next to us. Like that's just what I did, you know? So, but now like when I moved here, you know, it's like, that was just our thing. Like we went to church and,
Right.
you know, things just changed. And now, you know, thankfully it's like my kids are growing up in the church. Our friends go to the church. Like it's a massive part of our life. Even in times where I wasn't here on staff or stuff like that, it was still part of our life to be at church. Our friends were at church. Our group was at church. So it's,
And, I mean, sometimes even like being on staff, it's harder. Like I remember when we were out at Southern Highlands was Southwest. There were several weeks in a row where I wouldn't sit and listen to Pastor Judd's message because I'd have to come back out and do worship, or I was just so exhausted, or had to do something else because I was working another job. But like I know that in our marriage, like that's a priority for us to attend together.
Right.
Like, and you have to
Huge.
you have to make room for it, and you have to make that conscious decision to do it and just make it a routine, or you just won't, or you'll find something else to take up that time. So, yeah.
It's true. And when you're in there as a couple, it gives you the opportunity to do those moments of nudging with the elbow and making
Yeah, that's
sure.
my favorite.
especially when Judd is like, who in here is a remote hog? Like you can point, you know, point at your spouse. I do that every time to Alyssa. She gets mortified. It doesn't matter what he says. And I'm just like, I point at her and I'm like, over here.
Oh my god.
And she gets mortified.
Yeah.
It's
And
awesome.
it's also a lot about like how you think about and how you like phrase things, like with our kids. Like right now, thankfully, like Liam's in an age where he loves going to church.
Right.
Like I mean, hopefully Andrea doesn't yell at me, but he attended 3 experiences this weekend. And we asked him like, hey, like if you know, you're going to hear it for the 3rd time, if you're not into it, like totally fine. You can come out. And he's like, no, I want to stay. Like he wanted to stay for the 1 o'clock too.
He told me when I dropped him off at the first one, he was like, Daddy, when the parents come, can I do the video and the worship one more time? I was like, okay.
Sure. So it's great. But I am mindful about like we get to go to church today, not we have to go to church
Right.
today. Like
Oh,
even
that's
me
good, yeah.
saying that to
Little
myself
things, yeah.
helps me like look at it in a positive way. And so that works.
Yeah, there really is something special about just worshiping together as
Yeah.
a central family
Mhm.
and really leaning into what Judd's teaching and what God's given Judd, which adds to my application, which is most of you probably have gone to First Step, which that's awesome. Thanks for doing that. You might have heard something called First Step Plus this weekend. So it's my application is to encourage you to do that. So why go to First Step Plus? Got a couple reasons why. Number one is you might have not always retained all the information. For me personally, I graduated Central Academy, but when I pop in there still this year, I still grab nuggets and stuff that I might have not heard or might not have picked up or something new that is taught in there. Second of all, is just getting in the room with people. And then it's a great opportunity to just hear Judd. Judd's going to be the Central Live. Judd, it's going to be a live one-day experience May 18th, starting at 1 p.m. So reach out to me if you want to sign up. Reach out to your leader. I'm sure Brandon's got something to say about this as well.
About First Step Plus?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. One big reason, guys, like, this isn't, I know it has First Step in the name, but you gotta hear me on this. This is the first time that we're doing it like this, but it's also something that is probably going to be only available about once a year. So we're in the auditorium. We're trying to pack out that room. Judd is speaking and being one of the main communicators, as well as our senior leader, Mike. We've got Central Live doing worship. We've got kind of before and after opportunities to get food. We're going to roll straight into the weekend. Basically, think of it like this. Whether you haven't done First Step before, or just you feel like right now your walk with God, your involvement in the church feels a little stuck. Like, how do you get some momentum going again? How do you find your next step to be able to get a little bit more plugged in, feel that kind of passion and that renewed energy come back? That's what this is all about. So this is kind of conference style. It's not offered a lot. This is really your chance. If you want to do it this year, this is it. So May 18th, it's coming up pretty soon. Was that 2 weeks away? Week and a half?
Yeah, 2 weeks away.
It's going to be awesome. So make sure that you check that out. Get registered. Get there. Free, obviously. And for parents, oh man, this is really cool.
This
to
is
be
really
honest.
cool.
Like, so for parents, we're doing kind of a Bible camp style thing concurrently with First Step Plus. So to be able to be in there for the 3.5 hours, we're also having our children's team working hard to provide kind of a boost for your kids. So to know that even if you're kind of on the fence about it, which I would say you shouldn't be, like, you're going to get something out of this, like, just guaranteed, just by prioritizing a time in your week, in your day, in your kind of summer, your year, to really put God first in this way. Your kids are going to really benefit from this. And I know Pastor Nick said it earlier today, and it's so true. Like, if someone if I'm on the flip side of this and someone's inviting me and saying, hey, this is what's going on, also this is what's going on for kids, I would immediately be in, just to know that my kids were doing that. You know, like, that's not an opportunity that comes around a lot, and to know that they're going to have an absolute blast, as well as get some kind of foundational biblical knowledge. And then I myself am going to have a good time, extra worship, community. It's going to be awesome.
I mean, stop me if I'm wrong, but I
Yeah.
honestly think it should be something we should be inviting people to who might not have even attended Central yet.
Yeah.
I mean, kind of a cool, like, introduction to the church, what we believe. You know,
Totally.
it's like kind of like a weekend experience on steroids,
That's
honestly.
true. Right.
So, like, anyone that you're kind of like in your circles who's even sort of iffy about church in general, and be like, well, hey, come with me for this. I mean, that's a really short amount of time for the amount of information that
Right.
Pastor Judd's going to share. So for
That's
sure,
true.
I think it's not just for you. Like, start inviting people in
Yeah.
your life.
Get
that
people
can
there.
come.
Yeah, you're going to come in.
The more fun.
You're going to come to get reset, and you're going to feel refreshed. And I don't know another R word, but
Ooh.
Renewed.
renewed and
Recharged.
recharged. There we go.
And
I love going.
I'm using
Invigorated.
all the leading and loving it retreat words. in my
Revived.
head.
Yeah, revived.
Revamped.
To celebrate that he is risen.
Yes, always, Kevin.
Love it.
Sorry, that's my application.
Anyway.
Sorry, that's a little long.
No, that's good. But yeah, you'll obviously be hearing more about it this week. Again, ask your leaders if you have any questions. But if you're wondering if it's something that you would benefit from, absolutely you will. It's not as simple as just taking the First Step content and doing it all at once, back to back, which we have done in the past. This is absolutely, a little bit different. So it's going to be cool. Can't wait for that. Another piece coming around the bend. Just thinking of this personally, like, we're finishing people that are in the kind of that school sort of grind. Semesters are finishing up now. High school's getting ready to be out pretty soon here. Clark County, it's kind of crazy, to be honest, that we're almost at that time of year. But if you're interested in Central Academy, just reach out to me, Brandon at centralonline.tv, and I'd love to talk to you about some, like, cheap, easy things that you could do, whether you're just looking to get a better biblical foundation, or you're trying to find a better leadership kind of backing on how you can do better with people, leading teams, etc., whether it's at the church or not. Or if you're looking into what your college options are for accredited degrees, we have all that stuff. So just know that I'm a resource to you if you have any questions on that. Does anybody have any kind of closing thoughts or anything?
Yeah, I want to throw one thing out. Something a lot of you guys have heard about from stage, video through Easter, all that is obviously Feed the City initiative, as well as this event on June 1st. So the event June 1st is incredible. More stuff. You guys have heard a lot about it. But what I want to say is if you're interested in being part of that day, definitely let us know. The person you can reach out to, I would say myself, but I'm going to shoot it on somebody else, is William McAllister Pitts. And this is his phone number. So I'll say it once, you can rewind it. But I'm pretty sure he's okay if I give this out. 702-306-3484. But it's going to be a huge, incredible day. We're probably going to serve over 10,000 people that day. Huge campus-wide event, literally Vegas Valley. We'll all be here. We have a ton of really cool partners. And just so you guys know, just an update on where we're at. So through the end of the day Sunday, we had raised enough money already to cover 5,723 families. So
That's
we
awesome.
crossed the halfway
Come on,
mark.
somebody.
Right? So that was just hugely encouraging. It's just a great thing. And if you haven't jumped in yet, I would just say, get involved. It truly is just a way to meet, like to be the hands and feet of Jesus, literally to meet real practical needs of people that, it's a lot of our own central family. We've had a ton of people just reach out to us and say, hey, how do I just, like, I'm in need of this. Like, how do I be there that day? And they want to serve, but also, be served. And then it's just going to be a huge thing for our community, for our city. So, like, I even know, like, for my wife and I, like, we, between the two of us, cause like she works full time, like we get 4 paychecks a month. So literally every paycheck that we've gotten, we've like done another person, cause that's just the easiest way for us. It's super easy to do online, the booth here, all that. But if you haven't jumped into that yet, definitely pray about it. Like I said, it's just one of like the coolest ways you can really to meet some needs. But I'm really excited about it. I know that our team is. So
Yeah, that's a perfect tie into Judd's third point, which was kind of a surprise point for me. Like I didn't, when he's saying I have 3 points, like in my head, I'm like, okay, it's probably this and this and this.
Right.
I'm like, that one I didn't see coming, but it is like so important. And his point was give back to God, but yes to that, but also like as a family, like teaching our kids like just how to have a heart of generosity. Like our son's used to just receiving everything. He doesn't know how to give yet. And so he really enjoys like the aspect of like taking the picture and like putting it up there, like makes it real for him. Right. So that's really cool. It's a good tie into Pastor Judd's last point. But I do have a question for you.
Yep.
Like what things could people be helping to serve with? Like what are we expecting to do like on June 6th?
June 1st.
I mean, sorry.
No.
June 1st.
June
June
1st.
6th is Central
confused.
Live.
Yeah,
sorry.
that's right. So there's just gonna be a ton of, so we're kind of everything. We have 2 big areas. We have one of the big components of the day is our food pantry, where we should be, I think that we're going to have somewhere between 50 and 60,000 pounds of food to give out that day. So a lot of the roles will literally be taking, like it all comes to us on like pallets and like boxes. So it'll literally be like a pallet of like oranges and boxes. So it's going to be just bagging food. Like some of those roles will just be that, to like pack the bags to hand out to people. Some of it will be helping people carry bags of food to their cars. On the other side, where we're kind of doing that kind of meet the needs, where we have like hairstylists and barbers and like castaways who we partner with on a ton of stuff, is going to be there with a tent with clothes. And we have this whole organization that's coming that they help with like job search and resume building. So there's going to be just a ton of different roles. A lot of it is just going to be literally as people come through. If you're in the castaways tent, it might just be, hey, what size are you? What size pants do you wear? Okay, great. Let me go find a couple pairs of, because if with 10,000 people hopefully moving through our space that day, a lot of it is like we got to be fast and just kind of help people continue to move through. So it's just gonna be really just serving people in whatever tent or area that we have. Now, if you are skilled in some of the things that we're looking for, like hairstylists and barbers, people that are just good at, like if you got an A in English and you want to help people write resumes, like Ariel, that'll be a great spot for you that day. But literally anybody there, anybody that wants to serve, like we'll have a spot. Our hope is I think we're going to have somewhere between like 800 to 12 or 1,300 volunteers serving that day over the course of the day. But it's just going to be huge. We're going to have a lot more information coming out about it. The best thing you can do is reach out to us, and then we'll start kind of dialing it in.
I know you gave Will's phone number, but Bonnie is going to be sending out an email today or tomorrow.
Yep.
That also has like a sign up
page,
which is cool.
Right. And so most people listening to this, you're probably on what we would call internally our serve roster, meaning that you've gone through everything. And so you will get that email out that'll have those instructions so you can click to sign up, and then we'll follow up and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's gonna be an awesome day.
Killer, guys. It was good to be back. Glad to connect once again. We should be back into the swing of things. Just remember, whatever life may be throwing your way, whatever ups, whatever downs, whatever you might find in opposition to you, hold on to what it says in Romans 8. That if God is for us,
Who can be against us?
See you next week.